And welcome back, everyone, to the Crash the Pond podcast. It's a Monday, October 27th edition of the podcast, but most importantly, it is the return of the Jedi, the return of the King, the return of the Rudolph.
There we go.
Jake, you're back.
I am.
How does it feel?
It feels great to be back. I feel like I've been itching to get back a little bit. Also, dealing with all of the newborn fun stuff that's going on and all the sleepless nights, although I really can't complain. Our daughter is really, really easy. Wakes a couple times, change a diaper or two, go back to bed, try to get as much sleep as we can. But definitely is something that wanted to get back. Felt like now is the time. Wife is doing good. Monica's doing great. And she was able to be fine with me doing this and her handling it. So there's that. So excited to be back.
Well, a big shout out to Patrick, who filled in for you the last 2 weeks, because that was a huge lifesaver in the past when one of us has had life stuff going on. It's been a little bit of a struggle finding people, and Patrick was just like super easy to work with, and was a pleasure to have on. We had some good chats, a little bit of a different vibe than when you're on, so it was a good change up.
I think you told me in the first episode that may have been the first time no analytics were ever mentioned on the show.
So what you're saying is that today is going to be like the rude awakening of
100%.
You're going to make up for lost time and just
I'm
pepper
100%
us with stats.
doing it. I'm doing it. That's what I'm here for. That's what everyone expects.
Also, if I stumble on my words, I burned the crap out of my lip eating pasta right before this, so...
Oh, fun.
Blame the microwave. Blame me having to scarf down food 10 minutes before the podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, but glad you're back. Glad you're back in the saddle.
Thank you. Also, thank you for the kind words from both you and Patrick. Definitely much appreciated.
Yeah, you're now a 2-time father. You're a double dad. Now
we are running man coverage. No longer can have zone on one. Now running man. We're running the Greg Cronin defense.
I wasn't sure where that was going because you did have a daughter, but now it makes sense. Okay.
Yep. The Greg Cronin defense is being implemented.
Well, I'm not sure that's a good thing, considering that was the worst defensive team in the league. But never mind that. If we keep talking, something's going to be said that's just not going to go over well. So we should probably get into the hockey.
Wait, hold up. That reminds me. I have a bone to pick with you.
What did I do?
I have a bone to pick with you.
What did I do?
On the last episode with you and Patrick, you had mentioned that with Patrick here, that meant that you were no longer going to be sidetracked by me to start an episode.
Uh-huh.
You were then going to be able to get right to the hockey, right to the games.
Uh-huh.
Am I the one that sidetracks it to start off podcasts, or is that you that brings up random stuff and asks questions about it?
Well, I wouldn't call your new.
Oh no!
I wouldn't call that random unless you want to call that random.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't know how that's going to go over, but
I'm saying in general on the podcast. I feel like.
Well,
I was incorrectly assigned that guilt there. I think it goes to both of us.
Well, how about this? I am too biased to answer that.
Fair.
You are too biased to answer that. So why don't we let the comments section decide, or the listeners? If people vote in the comments or in Discord or Twitter, let us know who's the bigger class clown, who's more off topic. Let us know.
Oh, in general, it's me for sure.
Well, then you just answered. I mean, you just
to start the show, it's never me.
To start the show,
it's you.
Whatever. All right, can we move on? Please?
Moving on.
I mean, you're basically just proving my point, by the way, but
sure.
Never mind.
I realize that.
Never mind. Ducks played 3 games this week.
They did.
And they won 2 of the 3.
They did.
Judging from your comments over text.
Wait, did they? No, they didn't win 2.
They did?
Oh, yeah, they did. Sorry, I forgot about the Nashville game.
They won 2 of the 3. They beat
did?
They beat the Nashville Preds 5-2. They beat the Boston Bees 7-5. And then they drop a close one in Tampa 4-3. I guess I've been doing this with Patrick, so I'll do this with you. In the time you've been away, just kind of milling about, stewing, watching the team on your own with no outlet, what have been some of your impressions? What have, in the last week? And I guess, actually, it's been more like 3 weeks for you.
I have yet to do a podcast about an actual game.
Yeah, so let's just hear your thoughts on the season so far.
It's been a weird season so far. It's one where I think I mentioned it on the last show that I would have done as the season preview. But with the teams that the Ducks were going to be playing early on throughout the season, I thought that was a good opportunity for us to really find out if this team was bad or if they weren't bad. I don't think we would have known a whole lot more outside of that. And I think because it's really hard to judge based upon the teams that they were playing. I think if they came out and were flat out dominant against all the teams, I think you could have a good feeling about it. But I think it's been an interesting start because I don't think they've necessarily looked dominant. They've been a fun team. I think that that's certainly something that should go in their favor. But they've also been very leaky defensively. Like, this is a team that has been very wide open. They're a high event team. I think the concern I would have, though, coming out of that is that they were a high event team against teams that are poor defensively. And maybe, the Sharks are good offensively this year, but maybe some not as good offensively teams. And so the question is going to be, and this is my overall kind of thought moving forward, is how is this going to play out once they start playing better teams? That has kind of been my overarching thought here is these first 10 games are going to be interesting to see how they play. If they're fun, great. If they're worse than all these teams, that's a big red flag. But I don't think there's really a whole lot that can be garnered about how good this team is overall in terms of comparing them to the decree from Pat Verbeek and management and ownership that this team should make the playoffs this year. And I think that is the standard that you and I are holding them to because that's the standard that they've set for themselves. And so I think to hold them to that standard, I don't really know if they're there. I think my gut says right now, no. My gut says kind of where I have them projected is where they're at with how leaky they are defensively. I'd say a concern that I have moving forward is in these last few games, they have seemed as open defensively as they've ever seemed. And I think from an offensive chance perspective, they're not generating as much. They've been a team that in some ways has been very reliant upon a very good power play for the most part. That also is cooling off a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot to kind of pick at. I think that the one theme, and this is something that Patrick and I kind of touched on, I think last week, is that there isn't necessarily a theme. There isn't this kind of consistent thing, maybe outside of the defensive issues, where you can definitively say, oh, they're trending in XYZ direction or not, right? Like, we haven't gone 8 games of a specific brand of hockey one way or another, right? It's been kind of up and down all over the place.
The only kind of consistent thing I think I've seen from this team is outside of, I guess, the Boston game. I'm going to throw that one out because they were so leaky and horrible and we're not great with a lead. But they've had a few games where they've had a lead and they've really just locked it down in the third period. And I think that that's been a pretty consistent theme is that there has been a very professional element to their game in the third period when they've gone into that third period with the lead. Now, will that continue as they start playing better teams? Is that due to playing Nashville? Is that due to playing, I forget who the other team that they were really good against in that manner? It's all blending together at this point. But they've had really professional third periods. And I think that is a very good sign. I also think another good sign is Lucas Tosal has looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but outside of that, you're right.
I will say, to be a little petty, can I be petty for
Sure.
a second?
Go for it.
I was tolded to cite a Discord bit, but I was told that the Ducks were coached by a defense and detail-oriented coach last year who was helping them come along defensively, and that I was told in off-season interviews with said coach that that some of these coaches who get fired early in the rebuild don't end up getting to see the fruits of their labor. And do the Ducks look like a team that was coached super well defensively for the last 2 years? Do they look like a team with defensive fundamentals that are just burned into their brain?
No.
Do they look like a team that was coached at all the last 2 years?
No. I mean, this is a team where, for those that haven't been reading, you and I have been both putting out articles about each game or every game when we can do it. And so I've had analytics breakdown. You've more had game notes. But one thing I noticed, I had a little bit of a kind of what's been the season so far for this team in the article that I put out today. And I was just curious, and I looked up where their expected goals against per 60 is at. They are in league worst as of right now. I think it's like 3.48. The Dallas Aikens year, and now all this caveated with all of these numbers that we're going to spew on this podcast for the next little bit. Sample size, sample size, sample size. It's important to note that we should look at them because they are reflective of how they have played so far, but it is not necessarily predictive because these numbers can very easily change in the next 5 games because of the limited sample size. So that's where the sample size conversation is important, but these numbers shouldn't just be thrown out willy-nilly. But the Dallas Aikens full last season, 22-23, the Ducks were at 3.49 expected goals against per 60. So this team over this 8-game stretch has been as poor as the final Dallas Aikens year was from a defense perspective. And that, honestly, from the eye test perspective, checks out. Like, this is a team that has been fairly wide open defensively. I guess the good news for anyone listening to this podcast that's looking for not just down and dreary stuff is that they've been able to keep up from a scoring perspective with that. And so I think if you're at least looking at this from the entertainment perspective, that's what you want. That's what we talked about in those Aikens years. It was depressing because they were poor offensively and the worst defensively. I think right now they're 6th best offensively from an expected goals generation perspective and worst defensively. So all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the stats and kind of all the notes that we have is that this is just what we've seen so far. You know, the next 8 games could be totally different, and the next 8 games after that could be totally different. So it's just more of taking stock of what we've seen, but keep in mind that this doesn't, like, just repeating what you've said, because I think it bears repeating that this doesn't mean we're saying the team is going to be bad or going to be good or anything. Like, it's too early to proclaim anything, and we've been caught in that headwind, or I guess tailwind before in the past where team looks really good to start, we start proclaiming things, and then they come crashing back down to earth. The first Cronin year was kind of like that. I mean, there were even Aikens years where that was like that. My only point was just that for a team that we were told was really getting this great defensive coaching, they don't really look like they have any sort of defensive, principles. Now, I guess to their credit or in their defense, they also have, there's a new system. It's zone versus man, and that does take some adjusting to. But from what the players have said, or at least McTavish has said, is like this is more kind of natural. This is more what everyone else plays, what they played coming up in hockey. So it's not necessarily this huge adjustment either. I think that adjusting to Cronin's system was probably harder than adjusting to this one has been. I mean, remember Zegras' comment of it's a hard style to play. It's a hard game to play. So anyway, I do think that the note that you put out, that you kind of mentioned there about the offense is something to point out and underline because as shaky as they look defensively at times, the offense, I mean, they can just put goals on the board. They can just get scoring chances out of thin air. And I think to Joel Quenneville's credit, it does seem like he's giving the players the space to kind of operate and be free offensively. And despite some very glaring defensive errors up and down the lineup from young players, veterans, the guys just keep going back over the boards and they just keep getting their chances. Whereas maybe under Cronin, if an Olin Zellweger turns a puck over or a Beckett Seneca turns a puck over or what have you, they might sit for a period. Quenneville's approach seems to be, hey, you know what? Mm-hmm. I mean, he even said it in preseason, like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And I think I've kind of said this in some of my articles, but I think that while, yes, it looks really messy right now, I think that when a team is coached this way, as it is under Quenneville, I think there's a higher chance that they will end up learning and fixing it than under a Cronin team where they're just getting punished, right? They're not allowed to play through their mistakes. Like, yes, they're playing very loosely and sloppily at times right now, but they're still getting to play the game. They're still getting to kind of show their skills. And I think that just, there's a human element where there's more buy-in, where guys are still feeling good about their game. They're still getting to touch the puck a lot.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think that they're not being punished necessarily. If they're turning the puck over in some tough spots. But I guess one question I'll have for you on that Does that jive with from what I kind of mentioned earlier, if we're going to hold them to the standard that they set, does that jive with needing to make the playoffs?
Well, and that's a great question, because I think that's kind of the dichotomy of this season, where I think that right now, what this team looks like, what it has looked like in these 8 games, has been more of a team that is kind of, developing, growing, learning to play a winning brand, than it is a team that's kind of like Utah right now, let's say, where it seems like now they're winning, now they have an identity. I mean, I hate to say it, but the way they're playing right now feels like this is what it should have been a year ago, so they could have gone through these mistakes and be better on the other side of it, right? But I'll point you to a famous Ducks season. Shit, was it? No, I'm already forgetting. Was it 2015-16? Where I think it was 2015-16 or 14-15.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now. So,
well, what I'm trying to get at is that there was a season. It was one of those two. I'm pretty sure it was 15-16, where the Ducks started off very poorly. They were not playing well under Bruce Boudreau, and about halfway through the season in December, they became one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the league. They became very dominant.
That was 15-16.
Yeah, and I think that I'm not saying that that's what'll happen here, because keep in mind the team in 15-16 was coming off a Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals, so not quite the same team, but teams can improve during the season. And I think that this Ducks team, although right now they look more like a team in transition than a team that's going to push for the playoffs, I think that they can improve as these games go along and end up being that playoff team, or at least that playoff contending team that we're grading them on. So I guess for you, like, are you separating those two, or are you just straight up like they said they're making the playoffs and that's how I'm going to judge them, or they said they're going to push for the playoffs, I should say?
I think that's the standard that we have to hold them to. Right? Like, I think that's what they've set, and so I think changing your expectation for this team in terms of how you're analyzing them, you can't do that necessarily. I think if I'm changing, or if I'm comparing this to my expectation for this season, I would say that this is probably about what I kind of had expected or hoped for from the season, is a fun season that saw the young players taking a step, that was going to be a bit more open. I guess my concern overall right now is, and this is where the sample size, we're kind of going all out about this team being wide open, but over the next 5 games, things could flip. They may not be able to generate offense against the teams that they're going to be playing against, and they may still just be as poor defensively. And my concern is that if you look at some of the numbers, that's kind of the way it's been trending a little bit lately from the offense generation perspective. I think from a chance generation perspective, I should say, because obviously against Boston, they scored, 7 goals in that game?
Well, 6 goals.
6 goals, sorry, yeah.
One was an empty netter, but yeah.
7 with the empty netter. Against Nashville, they put up 5 goals. Like, they've been scoring goals, but it does feel like their ability to generate chances has been limited a bit more in those games, and they've just had high-end talent that's been able to score goals in those situations, married up with some poor goaltending on the other side. And so I guess my concern moving forward is this team actually this high-event team, or are they just a poor defensive team that really needs to learn to clean that needs to generate more offense and needs to clean up the defensive side of the puck? And looking at their schedule, because I was curious about that, we haven't even really talked about the games, but I think now
we'll get there.
Yeah. I think right now it's just talking about the season as a whole, but looking at their next however many games, I mean, it's a murderer's row a bit with how the season's gone for the teams. They've got Florida, then Detroit's extremely hot right now. They've got them on Friday in the John Gibson revenge game. You've got New Jersey, another extremely hot team. You're going to have Florida again after that. Dallas, who's I don't know where Dallas is at so far this season, but Dallas is a perennial contender, and Vegas, who's red hot. Like, this is a very, very tough stretch.
And then the week after, I mean, Winnipeg, Colorado, Detroit, Minnesota.
This was why kind of coming into the season, right? Like, that stretch from the Ducks, or this stretch of the Ducks, these 8 games where you're playing Seattle, San Jose, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Chicago, Nashville, Boston, Tampa, like, you needed to really not only pick up points in those games, but you really need to kind of get things going. and kind of become a bit of a more dominant team. And I guess my critique so far of this team would be that they have, even in the games where they've won the expected goal battle, like against Chicago, for instance, they haven't been utterly dominant in those games.
Yeah.
So to kind of summarize kind of all that, though, I think we're going to learn a lot about this team in the next week. I think we're going to find out if this team is a good team or not. I think, like I said, with those first 8 games,
wow,
we're going to learn. Well, the first 8 games, we're going to learn if they were a bad team or not with how they played against the bad teams. I think we can say that they're not one of the worst teams in the league after how they've played. I think with this upcoming stretch, we're going to find out if this is one of the better teams in the league or not. If they're a team that can, like, to hold them to the standard, we're going to find out if they're going to be one of the teams that can push for the playoffs. This, like, is it hyperbolic to say these next 2 weeks could honestly make or break the playoffs for them?
I mean, I'll just call it the next month. Like, I'll just read it out. So I'll just fly through it. But in November, New Jersey, Florida, Dallas, Vegas, Winnipeg, Colorado, Detroit, Minnesota, and then you've got Utah, Boston, Ottawa, Vegas, Vancouver, LA, and then mercifully you've got Chicago on November 30th. Like,
Boston's really the only, like, mediocre, like, badish team in there.
Yeah, you've got all teams that are going to give the Ducks. I mean, I know that this is not a betting show, but kind of just to put it in a simple way, like, how many of those games do you think the Ducks will be favored in, like, betting wise?
Boston,
maybe Boston and Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe there will be some injuries along the way, but this is a tough stretch, and I think you're right that in a way, this next month is gonna, if they have a really shitty month, I mean, that can be all that it takes in an NHL season to put you behind the 8 ball the rest of the way.
Yep, and they had a very soft first month of the season.
And they didn't run away with it.
They did not, and that's kind of my biggest complaint so far, is that they didn't. Yes, they picked up wins. Yes, they've looked fun. Yes, they beat Nashville. Yes, they beat Boston. But they also lost to Chicago in overtime. They almost lost to San Jose. They lost to Seattle. Like, these were, like, games that if they wanted to run with this, they needed to win some of those games. And then they need to beat some of these good teams. Like, they need to beat Florida tomorrow, probably.
Yeah.
Like, that's a team that hasn't had a great start to the season, but they're a team that is so experienced. Like, that's a team they need to beat.
Well, let's see. So in November, they're going to have 12, 14, 15 games. So that's 30 possible points. How many points do you think they need to just stay afloat, to just stay in the race?
You know, I hate looking at standings right now, but let's see where they're at in the standings as of right now. I think they're out of the playoffs, but it's
who cares? Yeah.
But it's due to games played. I mean, they're sitting at 563 point percentage.
Points percentage, yeah.
I would say if they could come out of that stretch at 500, so
15 points.
I mean, they're 1 point above. How many games was it again?
15.
So if they get 14 points out of 15.
No, 15. Sorry, 15 games, 30 points.
Oh, so if they get so if they get 29 points.
Wait.
Sorry. Wait, nope.
29 points.
14
0.99 points
my
percentage.
brain is not yeah. Baby brain. 14 points out of the 15 games. That would put them at 500 because they have 9 points in 8 games currently.
Got it. Yeah, I think
like if they can go into December at 500.
So they just kind of need to tread water then. This isn't necessarily make or break, but treading water is not going to be easy. Also,
that's what I'm getting at.
And another thing to point out is the schedule too. Like, they play every other day for 3 weeks in a row, and there's a back-to-back in that third week, and then they get some time off, in the last week of November. But yeah, that 3 week stretch, just from a kind of grind perspective, is going to be really brutal. And I mean, the injuries are already piling up. You've got Gudas, who's day to day. You've got Kreider with kind of a mystery injury / illness. You've got Granlund, who had a non-contact injury against Tampa Bay, which is quite concerning, but we don't really have an update there. You've got Strome, who hasn't come back yet. So yeah, this is kind of a gauntlet. I mean, I think it's possible that it ends up just being a nothing burger and they just, they scrap out 14-ish points. But
sure,
it could go the other way, or it could go great. They could also show us that they're a playoff team.
And that's why I say this stretch is an important stretch. Like, this is where you find out if this is a team that actually is going to meet the expectation that the team has set for themselves. Mm-hmm. If they're going to kind of be a middling team that maybe can stay, quote unquote, in the mix, or if they're a team that's going to fall off. Like, this is a really tough stretch, and this was to be expected with how the opening of the season was for them. You don't usually get stretches like this opening season.
2 games a week.
Not only 2 games a week, but just playing teams that aren't great or aren't expected to be great, I guess would be the better way to put it. And so you knew that there was going to be a murderer's row coming soon.
We'll see. I mean, I think that we'll just find out. We will all find out together. We don't really know how it'll go, despite the 8 games that we've seen. We don't really know. So let's quickly go over these games that occurred over the last week. So let's start with the Nashville game. This was a game where the Ross Johnston legacy game, where he gets a Gordie Howe hat trick. Ducks win 5-2. From my perspective, I thought that this was a very solid performance from the Ducks. They maybe I'm just a little too accustomed to their mistakes already, but I thought that despite not necessarily dominating the game, they were still, I would say they were still obviously the better team for the grand majority of the game.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the games where I would look back on it and say this was a game where the Ducks had that really professional third period. That the game never felt in jeopardy in the third period with the 2-goal lead, and they ended up scoring a 5th goal also on top of that. But they really did a good job of limiting Nashville for the most part in that third period. My one minor critique of this game is I felt like they were held to the outside for the most part. They got some good looks here and there, but I thought that they were kind of in flurries. It wasn't a consistent domination within the zone to generate those chances. It was just kind of a bang, good chance here, results in a goal. And then kind of a little bit of nothing from there on out. And so minor critique, but I think overall this was probably their most complete game that they've played throughout the season.
Yeah, they played well, and
Dostal was good.
I thought that Granlund was really good. This was also the game where we saw Quenneville shake up the pairings, but it kind of feels like a moot point because he does it. Feels like he does it every other game. One thing I did want to point out, which is kind of applicable to the other games, before he got hurt, but I think Radko Gudas has been playing better this season. I think I said it on the last podcast as well. I think he's been looking a lot more solid. Now, of course, he's hurt, so it doesn't really matter. But
Felix, I may need you to vamp for 2 minutes or 5 minutes here.
Oh, are you getting called to duty?
I am getting called to duty with Luke real quick, so I will be back in a few minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, while Jake goes off and tends to his family, I'm going to quickly cover here the Ducks versus Bruins game. The Ducks win this one 7-5, and I actually just watched this game prior to the podcast being before us going live today, so it's pretty fresh in the memory. And the Ducks win this game, high scoring. They get outshot. It was really messy, and I didn't watch this game at the time when it first happened, and I got a lot of texts about how, Mrazek was really shaky, and Mrazek wasn't great, but I also didn't think he was bad. I didn't think that he was the reason the Ducks struggled in this game, despite letting in a couple soft goals. This was probably the game where you really saw the Ducks struggle with their defensive details, just breakdowns, guys not being covered, guys not back checking, just kind of a mess from a defensive standpoint. On the flip side of that, you also saw the Ducks shine offensively, where they were able to just score in bunches. They were able to create plays out of nothing. You saw Jacob Trouba get on the board, kind of sneaking in onto a rebound and jamming a puck home. You saw Mikael Granlund finishing a beautiful play by Troy Terry. Terry just dangling through a defender, putting the puck into the slot. It finds Granlund. He bangs it home. You saw Colangelo make a play out of nowhere. Then later in the game, you get Troy Terry, who gets a perfect pass from I almost said from Jake Rudolph, from Nikita Nestorenko. He gets the puck in tight, roofs it, and then later in the game, you have Mikael Granlund scoring an empty net goal. So very messy performance, but the Ducks managed to pull it out. And there is Jake.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I just went over the whole Boston game.
Okay.
A very funny thing happened, though.
Yeah.
So I was going over the Terry goal in the third period, and I kind of I quickly looked at my phone, and I don't know why, but I thought maybe you had texted me because someone texted me. So I said, a very nice, great goal by Troy Terry and a great feed by Jake Root, and then I kind of stopped myself.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
so great pass on the Terry goal, Jake.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm glad you're back. So yeah, Bruins game. I thought that this was kind of the game that personified their season a little bit. Just very undisciplined defensively.
Yes.
I think some of their goals were quite lucky, but they also had some very skillful goals. This game was just pure chaos, all the way through.
Yeah, this was one where, from a results perspective, I don't think you have many large takeaways because it was just pure chaos. So I think from an enjoyment perspective, you could watch that game and definitely enjoy it. I think if you are looking at it to try to break down and analyze the team, I have a lot of concerns coming out of this game. I think that defensively, they were very leaky. They were dominated in their own zone. I think you look at some of the goals against and just the mistakes that were made. I think the game tying goal late prior to the Ducks taking the lead again, where Jackson Lacombe gets caught flat-footed and Nikita Zadorov just essentially skates around him. That was really not great. I thought Mrazek was not good in this game, but he wasn't horrible. The third goal by Mason Lohrei from the point, where I don't know if I've ever seen a goalie get beat low to the side from the point like that.
So it went through a Bruins legs.
But he should be out challenging there where there's no space low.
I agree that he should have stopped it, but it was kind of a weird play.
Sure,
here's
the
a
way
positive.
His positioning was so bad.
Here's a positive from this game.
Okay.
I thought that Granlund looked really good in this game.
Troy Terry and Granlund together looked really good.
I think Granlund, before he got hurt, I think Granlund is starting to kind of come on a little bit and get more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're starting to see a bit more of the Granlund we saw last year that we were kind of excited about the Ducks signing. This is not necessarily a great thing to say, but I think he's this team's best playmaker. He just finds guys in the slot consistently. And there's nobody else in this team that is able to kind of pierce that wall like he does. He's just always finding people, and he's just a damn smart player, and I just really enjoy watching him play hockey.
Yeah, I mean, the Nestorenko, Granlund, Terry line, I think that was the Ducks' best line in this game.
Nestorenko was great, by the way. The 4 assists kind of oversell it, but he was great.
He was great. I think Troy Terry was great. Mikael Granlund was great. Mikael Granlund had a 5-point night. I think Olin Zellweger was really good in this game. The McTavish line was garbage and just really not good in this game. Ever since Frank Vatrano moved to that line, it's really, really gone downhill a bit and kind of shows what Carter Gauthier, I thought, brought to that line on the whole. And now it's Mason McTavish being saddled with kind of two defensive liabilities in Frank Vatrano and Beckett Seneca. The Carlson line, even though Gauthier's been great, that line wasn't going in that game either. This was a game that was really kind of, the Ducks had one line that was really going for getting 7 goals in a game. They only had one line. This was just,
it was sloppy.
This was a sloppy game. There's no other way to put it. It's early season. Korpisalo was not good at all for the Bruins.
It was just a burn the tape kind of game.
Yeah, yep,
honestly, yep. I hate to say that because it kind of feels like a cop out of trying to, we're here to analyze and break down, but there are some games where it's just there are definitely things that I'm sure they were coached about. But
I think you burn the tape now, but if these occur more often, then you kind of go back to this a bit.
I mean, I think you burn the tape because of how bad it was. It's that is just so far below baseline defensively that. But no, you don't ever actually burn the tape. You learn from your mistakes as a team. But for us, as people trying to evaluate this team, it's kind of if we're evaluating them off of this game, then we would think that they're like the worst team ever defensively. And I don't, they haven't proven themselves to be that yet. So, and the offense was there. The offense came through for them. Like the guys that they needed to make plays did make plays.
Yeah.
Zooming over to the Tampa Bay game, this game was kind of the opposite in a way, where I thought that, the Ducks were still sloppy. They still made mistakes, but compared to the Boston game, they were much fewer and far between in this game. I thought that overall this was a much more competitive effort against a really good team in Tampa Bay too.
Yeah, I think that this game, yes, I think you're spot on there. My big takeaway from this game was actually the discipline for the Ducks. Like
the 6 penalties.
That's something we haven't talked about actually yet, but the team has been extremely well disciplined lately. And the Nashville game, not only, when I kind of say professional third period, what I mean by that is not only being great defensively, but not taking dumb penalties. Like, it's so easy to take dumb penalties in the third period, get over exuberant, over emotional, whatever, and take a dumb penalty. It puts your team down a man and it allows the team to get back into the game. And the Ducks had done a really good job of not doing that for a lot of games. And this was probably the most well-disciplined Ducks team that I've seen in a while for this 8-game stretch. And that kind of all went out the door in this Tampa game. The 2 power plays that the Ducks had were offset by penalties late in the power play. And then they had the 5-on-3, where if you're kind of looking at the all situations expected goals, that 5-on-3, as you could imagine, generated a ton of expected goals. And even though they didn't score, that kind of was the difference if you're looking at the XG model from it. And in large part, they didn't score because Lucas Dostal was extremely, extremely good in this game. And so I think to zoom in on this game and kind of focus on one thing, I think the discipline really let them down in this game. I think that could be viewed as potentially what the difference was.
This was also one of those weird games where the team was leading on the shot
clock.
Yeah, but they weren't necessarily getting into the slot and getting super dangerous chances. Couple of other...
Well, and to your point there, that bears itself out. If you're looking at 5-on-5 shot attempts, the Ducks had 53 versus Tampa Bay 48. But if you're looking at 5-on-5 expected goals, Tampa had 3.10 to Anaheim having 2.0.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I was watching the game and I saw the shots, and they ended up being 40-33, which looks good and is good. Like, that is a good thing to have happen. And more times than not, if you're getting 40 shots, you're going to do pretty well. You're going to keep yourself in the game. But watching the game itself, I didn't think that was reflective of how the game was going. The Lightning were just consistently able to get into the slot, and part of that was the Ducks shooting themselves in the foot and allowing that to happen, but it's also the Lightning, and that's just what they do. I thought that kind of the most emblematic moment of the game was the last 2 minutes of the third period, where the Ducks have this chance to come back in the game, and for the last 2 minutes or so of the third period, they just couldn't get out of their zone. I mean, I haven't seen that too many times watching hockey, where a team just gets shut down completely in the last 2.5 minutes. It's not what you want to have happen. And instead they, then, and it wasn't because I didn't think it was because the Lightning were this awesome team. Of course, I'm sure that's a part of it, but there were just these instances where they had these opportunities and these choices to be made. For example, you had Olen Zellweger, chance to break it out, gets actually almost to the blue line in their own zone, and instead kind of starts overhandling, gives it back to the other team. You have Drew Helleson making the same error. Earlier in the shift, you have Beckett Seneca below the goal line, right, in his own zone. And instead of just chipping it up the wall like you're supposed to do there under pressure, he kind of tries to shield it, tries to fake out the defender, does a couple extra moves. Of course, he gets zapped along the wall, turns into a turnover, and that just leads to another bout of possession against. So it's those moments where this team has the opportunity to make the simple winning play, and they just aren't there yet. And we'll see. Maybe that they'll learn and it'll be instilled to them. I mean, the good thing about this is that these are very correctable things. It's everyone at some point learns this, and I think that's what they're learning. But that's why I said earlier in the show, like, I wish that these lessons had been more happening last year as opposed to right now for a team that's trying to make the playoffs. The other thing that stood out to me as a negative, sorry that there's a lot of negatives today. I have a positive that I'm going to get back to, but Pavel Mintyukov in this game, it's just become a theme with him where when he goes to retrieve the puck, he just gets pushed off. He just gets bumped and just loses it or turns it over or just can never get it. And I think it's a problem because he's the one whose pairing keeps getting changed. And I think Quenneville, I almost said Cronin, I think Quenneville is trying to kind of hide him, basically. And there's just nowhere to hide right now. Anyway, another positive that I should point to is that Jacob Trouba scored. He scored against Boston as well. His goal in this game was quite nice. The shot from the point, or not from the point, sorry. He came in and took a half slap shot and it went just posting in, short side posting in, which is even more impressive. What's interesting about Trouba this season is that he's kind of been the opposite of what people think he is, where he's been on the Ducks' best pairing. Zellweger, Trouba have been great together. But he's getting it done with his offense instead of kind of this hard-nosed defense that I think people assume he does.
Yep, agreed. So, before we move on, though, we need to tell you that this episode is brought to you by our friends over at NordVPN. So, you may be wondering kind of what a VPN is, how it can benefit you, what it can do for you. So, a VPN, essentially what it does is it takes your traffic and puts it through a remote server. It changes your IP address and virtual location. Your real one will remain private. You get a new IP that belongs to your VPN server. Keeps your browsing private, really protects you, and really kind of hides where your location is for various different reasons. And honestly, Felix uses NordVPN on his own currently. I do as well. And I mean, Felix, any thoughts on NordVPN and how it works?
Well, I've used a lot of different VPN services over the years as someone who watches a lot of sports and is subject to the very silly restrictions that come with that. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And especially as someone now who covers a team outside of my market, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. They make it a lot easier to do that without having to pay for anything extra. Another thing that I'll point out is that with them, the connection is really seamless. So what I've noticed in the past is that when I use a VPN and let's say I do a podcast or I do like a Zoom call or anything that kind of uses more bandwidth, for whatever reason, the VPN seems to affect the latency. And with NordVPN, at least I've found that it doesn't affect it at all. So you can use this tool and it won't mess with your browsing at all.
And that lines up. They have amazing speeds. They are one of the fastest VPNs that are out there. And like you said,
my eye test.
There you go. For sports entertainment, I mean, let's say you're traveling on the go. I know one of our lovely Discord users was recently on a trip internationally, and he was not able to watch Ducks games through the service that he pays for on ESPN Plus because ESPN Plus is not used in the location that he was at. So if you are that, you can have NordVPN and you can change your location to be in the US, to be your home base, so that then you can watch games on your service that you are. So if you're traveling, it's a great way. If you travel all the time and you have a Victory Plus account, this allows you to watch Victory Plus still. And so you can safely access your favorite streams and other content from home. You can also switch your virtual location to access apps and websites in other countries if you wanted to go ahead and do that. And it's one NordVPN account can be used on up to 10 different devices. They have 8,300 servers across 127 different locations. So you can get an exclusive NordVPN deal here by using the website, or go to the website nordvpn.com/CTP. Once again, that's nordvpn.com/CTP. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link for this that I've just stated will also be in the episode description.
Yeah, go check them out. Another thing I want to add is that the interface is really simple. Like people hear VPN and they kind of assume like, oh, it's going to be complicated, but you turn it on, you hit a button, and you're good.
Yep.
It's really that easy. So go check them out. All right, let's just kind of zoom out from the games here.
Yep.
Couple of notes that I just have on the season as a whole.
Okay.
You know me, I like to talk about themes and players and stuff.
Yep.
Cutter Gauthier. One thing that really jumped off the screen to me watching the Tampa Bay game was there was a play, I forget which period it was in. It might have been the second period, where he's skating in and he's attacking the middle, which is great. But then you can clearly see there's a guy on the wing wide open. You know, if he hits him in stride, that guy's going to the net with a clear lane. And instead, he kind of looks him off and shoots it at the net from very far away. No screen on the goalie. It's an easy save. And Gauthier's been getting a lot of credit, I think, and to an extent rightfully so, that he puts so many pucks on net. But I do, and after that play, you could see Jay Woodcroft talking to him on the bench. And it looks like they were getting into it, not in a bad way, just like they were going over it. And I do think that with Gauthier, he's still learning kind of that quality versus quantity versus time and place calculation. What have you made of that, and just maybe his start to the season in general?
I think he's had a really good start. I think you're right that there are certainly moments where he could be passing it instead of taking that shot, and can be a bit shot trigger happy, I guess would be the right word, kind of what we saw in college from him. But I think I would rather have a guy that is able to get to locations to get his shot off and have it be dangerous, and maybe try to reel it back a little bit here and there, than the flip side of that, and a guy that isn't able to get to those locations. Because I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think one thing to certainly talk about there is that it's not easy to get this many shots off, both from an attempt perspective and a shot on goal perspective. It requires you to get to locations to take your shot and have open ice and create open ice for yourself. And so I think that that's been one of the better things that he's done so far this year. I think that him and McTavish together have been really good. I think he's been a bit of a driver on that line, but I think McTavish has also been excellent with him also.
Yeah, and that's very fair. I think that there is a part of me sometimes that kind of looks at these things and maybe splits it too finely. But it also, I do think that he leaves some meat on the bone a lot of the times offensively. But you're right that you'd rather kind of, rein a guy back in than teach him how to run, right? Like, I think that it's probably a better starting point. And if you look at the stats, I think that what's fascinating is that he is right now, so in terms of shot attempts per game, he leads the team at 5-on-5 per 60 minutes with 24.8 shot attempts per game. The next closest is Olen Zellweger with 19.3. After that, you've got Vetrano at 17, and then Terry at 16.5. So he's kind of well ahead of the pack. He's the only guy breaking 20, and he's above 20. And then you look at shots on goal, and I think that that's where the split becomes more noticeable, where he's at, so this is per 60 minutes of 5-on-5 play. He's at 17.07 shots per 60. Next closest, Frank Vetrano, 12.04. Next closest, Alex Killorn at 8.4. So Gauthier is just like firing away.
Yeah.
Like he's not even thinking twice. He's just ripping it on net. And I think, again, that is a good thing. But he is now at a point where he is so consistently in these situations, these advantageous situations, that I can't help but notice, hey, you could be doing even more with this. Like, you could take this to another level. And I think that, it's funny that you say he's been great, because I think he's been really good. He's getting his production. He's shooting a lot. But I feel like he was a little bit more noticeable last year, shift to shift. I feel like this year we haven't seen him quite as much flying up the ice, making those plays. I think he's been a little bit more kind of figuring it out, maybe with this new structure. But
that's fair.
It's a good starting point when you're shooting this much.
Yep.
Another guy that I wanted to talk about, two guys I wanted to talk about, but I'll start with this one because you haven't had a chance to talk about him, and I'm sure you've been itching to talk about him. But Olen Zellweger.
He's so good.
Olen Zellweger, a guy that we were worried about going into the year, where we were worried about where he was going, kind of the effect of Greg Cronin on him, the fact that it seemed like his offensive game had really been zapped away from him. Now it feels like it's the opposite. Like, he is so aggressive offensively. He is just all over the ice, pushing play, getting deep into the offensive zone, ripping shots on net, creating. That knife does cut both ways, where he does also turn the puck over at times and make mistakes, but this finally feels like the version of Zellweger that we've been wanting to see for a long time.
Yeah, he's been so good. I think that Trouba's look good, but I think in large part that's due to having Olen Zellweger with him. I think he's activating in a way that we've wanted to see from him. He's activating at the right times, getting up into the rush at the right times. It just feels like what we expected to see from Olen Zellweger coming out of junior is what we're now starting to see from him. And it's a treat to watch. It's an absolute joy to watch. He is someone that really just plays a very interesting style of game and very up-tempo, very high-pace hockey, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, no, he's been fantastic. And then a couple of guys, too, that I wanted to touch on. So what have you made of Drew Hellison's season so far? Because I feel like he's a guy who's kind of been elevated a little bit, and he's taking on more responsibility. How has he fared in that to you?
He kind of looks the same like he did for the final stretch of the season last year. I thought when he first came up to the lineup last year, he was really good defensively, but a bit more in sheltered pairing and that type of stuff. I thought as the season went on, he was starting to get exposed a bit more. And I think we're starting to see a little bit more. Whether or not that's due to playing with Minchikov and Minchikov's not playing great, I mean, it may be both of them. It may be one of them. Who really knows? I thought playing with Jackson Lacombe, he's been a bit better, but I still don't. I don't think that that's probably the right role for him. I think he is a 6'7" defenseman, and I think right now he's just being elevated a bit too much outside of that.
I think what's interesting with him is that there are games like against Tampa where I thought he was really, really good, where I thought that he was dominant offensively and he was moving the puck and he was physical in his own zone. But then I go back and I watch the Boston game, and he was a bit of a mess in that game. Now, granted, he was not the only one. He's been up and down for me. I think that I'm actually a little bit more encouraged by him to start.
Okay.
But I'm not, maybe not enough to really kind of fully change my opinion that I'm not sure if he's a top 4 defenseman, but he has at least had flashes of it.
I personally, I guess this is kind of where I'm at with it. I would rather have Luno or Moore in the lineup than either of them. Or than Drew
Moore
Hellison.
has looked really good when he has played. And then I guess I have more guys I want to talk to you about. But Mr. $9 million, numero dos, Jackson Lacombe. How has he looked to you? He's actually not Mr. $9 million yet.
Not yet.
But
not yet.
Next season.
I think he's looked okay. Like, I think he's had some really good games. I think he's had some games where he's looked poor. I think he's looked lackadaisical with the puck. I don't think he's looking as dominant as he did last season, which I think you and I both were curious how that was if he was gonna be able to keep up that play. And granted, as we said at the beginning, 8-game sample. Like this is a small.
This
sample.
is just what we've seen. Yeah.
But I think what I've seen is a guy that he's not playing to the level he was last year, but that level was a high-end defenseman, and I don't think you or I either of us expected that. And I think he's making the kind of he's mistake-prone in his own zone. I'm trying to remember the exact game.
And in the offensive zone.
Well, there was that turnover late in a game.
That was last week. That was on the last podcast we talked about that.
Yeah.
The dangle in front of his own net. I mean, he did stuff like that.
It was Carolina.
He did stuff like that last year, in the beginting of last year. So maybe he's just a slow starter, but yeah, lapses in judgment.
And then like I think he got caught flat-footed. And granted, these are singular plays, so they're not necessarily fully representative of the player that he is. But got caught flat-footed and got beat by a 6'4", 6'5" defenseman that isn't known for having foot speed, and Nikita Zadorov. And so not a great look on that side of it. So I think he's had both highs and lows. I think if you were to try to say, is he worth the contract that he's got with how he's played so far, I would say no. But like we had kind of said, even if he took the step back midway through that contract, that's going to be about what he's worth.
Yeah. I think that this 8-game stretch, I want to stress that, in the 8 games he's played, he has not looked like a number 1 defenseman. Maybe not even a number 2 or 3. Like he has flashes where he looks really good and he looks so calm. And, I think that Patrick called it Niedermeyer-esque on one of the podcasts we did, where he is just so chill and laid back with the puck. But again, that knife cuts both ways. And I think that what you've been seeing in the last 3 or 4 games is, your top defensemen minutes-wise, when they're that lackadaisical, they can also be a little too lackadaisical and they give the puck away, or they try a play in a bad spot where maybe they should have just made the simple play, or they miss something on the back door. And I don't really get it. Because is it a mental thing? Is he lacking in urgency? There are just times where I'm like, dude, go and go after that guy, or go move that puck, play the game. And it just kind of feels like he's just comfortable now. And he's like, I'm not as freaked out about getting yelled at by Greg Cronin after the game. I don't know what it is. And we've seen this from Lacombe before. This is nothing new. It's just now there's an expectation because he's going to be paid like a number 1 defenseman, or at least, for a year or two before that changes with the cap. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. I'm not writing him off because of 8 games or whatever, but it's just been noticeable. Yeah. It's just something to kind of talk about. And the other sore spot that I'm just going to touch on, we're really just playing all the hits here. People are going to come after us in the comments. It's actually funny. In the 2 weeks where Patrick was on, the comment section on YouTube was real quiet. And I feel like this week it's going to spark back up. I'm just saying.
To be fair, this entire segment right now, you're driving this.
I'm just crapping on everyone.
I want everyone to know this is not me driving any of this. I'm just sitting here adding my takes to it, but this is you.
Oh, God. Look, I'm just saying what I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything beyond that. I'm watching the games. I don't know what else you want me to do. Number 45. Mm-hmm. Mr. Number 3rd overall.
Mm-hmm.
Beckett Seneca, formerly known as Beckett Seneke before people figured out how to pronounce his name. Actually, I've heard some people still say that. People that cover the draft, which is really odd, but I won't name names. Beckett Seneca, how has he looked to you in this last little stretch? I'm throwing you the hot potato first.
God damn it.
You can throw it back. You can throw it back if you want.
I'll take this. I think it's really good on the kid for putting up the production. I think the goals that he scored have been nice. I think that in those moments, and I think he has looked very good. I think he has had some stretches where he has looked good on a line with McTavish and Gauthier. But I think over this last little stretch, and I think for the most part in his time in the NHL, he has not looked up to snuff from a defensive perspective and from a puck protection perspective overall. And especially if the team, God damn it, Felix, if this team is trying to make the playoffs, I don't think he is someone that can be in the top 6. It seems like from all reports that he is going to be with the team for the entirety of the season. I don't know how he is going to be in the top 6 for the entirety of it. And I kind of still stand by my original view that on the 4th line, it's not the best for his development long term. And so he's someone that, and also I'll say this, Rapham charts from Evolving Hockey have come out, and his defensive metrics make Frank Vatrano's look not horrible. So, and I'm going to caveat this. That's not to say Beckett Seneca is going to be a horrible player. That is not saying this is who he is. That is just, he is a 19-year-old playing. Connor saying, I don't know if this is our good friend Connor or a different Connor, but Felix is gift baiting. But Beckett Seneca definitely needs a bit more seasoning, and I think that he is someone that can be better. Nicholas Ray just saying they're literally one of the top lines in the league, by the way. Yes, they are, but first off, that was with Gauthier there. With Vatrano there, they are not. With Gauthier, McTavish, and Seneca, yes, but that is not due to Beckett Seneca being on that line. If you look under the hood, I will say that much. And so at the end of the day, I view this and look at it of what's best for his development long term. Is it this? Is it going to be eventually going back? We'll see eventually what happens here. But he needs to clean up his own end of the ice.
Yeah, so when Seneca, Gauthier, and McTavish were together, they had great numbers together. But what I will say is this.
Sample size?
First off, sample size. Secondly, let me just put my hat on. Let me put my old man hockey watcher hat on. Watch the games. Watch the games. I'm not saying that you don't, whoever's disagreeing with this. I'm not saying you don't, but look closely. At least see what I'm seeing and tell me if you disagree. When I watch Beckett Seneca right now, he is a turnover machine. He gets pressured with the puck. He almost never gets past the guy in front of him with the puck. When he gets pressured along the boards, he crumbles under that pressure because he's a 19-year-old in the NHL who doesn't have the man strength yet. Does he have his flashes? Does he have his moments where he looks extremely skilled? Yes, for sure. Yep. We have seen those.
And that's encouraging.
And that is very encouraging, and those are very real, and I am, like, that should make you enthusiastic about what's to come with him. But does he look like a top 6 NHLer right now? By the eye test? No. No. And that's okay. That's okay. But, you know, like, I'm just a guy watching hockey. You can disagree with me. This is just my own 2 cents. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong. People really hate when I do this.
People really got mad at us on Twitter when we were saying that we were not fans of Seneca being on the team if he was going to be in a 4th line role.
Like, here's the thing that I'm, like, now kind of removing my own eye test evaluation and just thinking about the big picture. What would you say is more beneficial for Beckett Seneca, formerly known as Beckett Seneke? Is it to play through his mistakes and learn from his mistakes in the NHL? Because I want to be very clear with everything that I'm saying right now. These are all things that he's going to learn. He was an immature player coming in, and I mean that like on the ice. He was just not a mature player in his game, and he had some growing pains to go through, and he's going through them now. And so is it better for him to kind of take his lumps now and kind of have a season of growth and figuring things out, and then maybe hit the ground running next season? Or is it better to maybe just go back, have another dominant season, keep growing his game, right? Because I think that's the question. Because I think we all agree, everyone who's honest watching him can see he's not necessarily ready. But the question is, like, what's a more valuable use of his time? Because last year, to start last season, Will Smith for the Sharks also kind of looked like this, like losing battles, not ready. Mm-hmm. And he eventually figured it out, and he got a lot better during the season. So I guess for you, like, where do you see that? Are you more on team, like, he's at the point where he should just be taking his lumps? Or are you at the point where, like, maybe there's still another level to get to down in junior before he comes back?
So I want to add this. I think that when we have these conversations a lot of times, and not necessarily you and I, but the general public, I feel like junior is looked down upon a ton, mm-hmm. where it is viewed as this kind of secondhand league. But in reality, the vast majority of players go back to junior for their draft plus 2. Like, yes, that is going to start changing as college becomes more and more of a thing. But it is not as if he's playing against 15-year-olds. Like, there are a lot of 17-year-olds, a lot of 18-year-olds, a lot of 19-year-olds. And most of the top-end players in that league are going to be 18 and 19-year-olds of his same age range.
And they're still overagers, by the way. Like, those guys aren't gone.
Yeah, and like, we're talking about the OHL, which is one of the best leagues in the world. Like, without a doubt, it's one of the, like, not at the same level, obviously, as like a pro league, but it's one of the best developmental leagues in the entire world. It's the best
junior league in the world.
Like, sure. Yeah. And so I think it gets kind of cast out as being this horrible place. And in an ideal world, I kind of think the AHL might be best for him just to be able to play top-end minutes against pros. But you and I have talked about the AHL is not a great place either for development. Like, mm-hmm. It may be better suited to be in junior. Who knows? But I wanted to at least start by saying this idea that going back to junior is going to be a negative thing for him is just not the case. And I think it was Mitch Brown on this podcast or somewhere had said at some point in time that a team's never really regretted sending a player back. There's never been a team that's regretted sending someone back for another year of junior. They've never, like, this whole worry about a guy going back and continuing these bad habits, that never happens. Like, that just never ends up being the case. There's not guys that go back that are high-end picks that are coming to the NHL. And a lot of people were kind of talking about, like, I saw some people mention Bobby Ryan and how he came in and was on the fourth line and that type of stuff. I went back and looked, actually. Bobby Ryan in his draft plus 2 was in junior as well. Like, he went back to junior that year.
Similar
that was 06, 07. Like,
similar players.
Went back to junior for 06, 07, was not in the AHL that year, and it wasn't until 07, 08 that he went to the AHL. Mm-hmm. And so I think that, a big caveat there, that I just think this whole idea of going to junior being a bad thing is just thrown out. The question for me ends up being, where is best for his development? I think, personally, fourth line in the NHL consistently is not that. Like, it's just not a good spot for him to develop. He's going to be playing with Ryan Poehling and Ross Johnston. Like, this is just not a good developmental location, playing 10 minutes a night. Like, it's just not something that's going to work well from him for getting his reps. And while, yes, it may help him defensively and build the habits that need to happen, he does still need to build the offensive habits in the offensive zone and have those touches go. And so I think if given the choice from a Beckett Seneca development perspective, having him in the top 6 in the NHL or being a junior player, I kind of think probably top 6 of the NHL would probably be better for him, just because he's going to be playing with other very talented players. I almost think it's quality of teammate more than anything else that he's going to be brought up by them. But this kind of goes back to the original kind of situation that we talked about for this episode of, what is the goal of the season?
Yeah.
If the goal of the season is to make the playoffs, then I don't think you can have Beckett Seneca in your top 6 for the entirety of the year.
Well, because it's also just very obvious he's not really adding a ton right now.
Yeah. Like, if you swap Seneca and Terry, that line is so much better.
Yeah. It just is. And that really hurts some people's feelings.
Like, Gauthier, McTavish, Terry.
Yeah.
Like, even like that line when Gauthier goes back there, like, that is going to be so much better than having a Beckett Seneca there.
Troy Terry is an NHL forward in his prime.
He's an all-star.
Who has been an all-star. Like, was that all-star maybe the peak of his career? Maybe, but
maybe
that's still a really good NHL player. So yeah, it's a difficult conversation to have.
Do you disagree with that from me? That I think the NHL top 6 is probably the best for his development, but maybe not the best for the Ducks.
I 100% agree with that, because yes, there is the two sides to the coin, where I think that he doesn't look NHL ready at times, but I also think that you can argue that, hey, just playing through his lumps in the NHL and kind of going through that growing pain season might actually be best for him, as opposed to going back to junior. Like, I'm not saying that that's what I believe, but I think that that's at least an argument you can make. And so I do agree that, like, top 6 in the NHL could be good for him, but is it good for the Ducks? Is it good for the Ducks, this team that wants to break one of the longest playoff droughts in hockey, to have a guy who they're basically have an intern in the top 6, right? To have a guy who you're okay with maybe a little less experience and proficiency, right? It just doesn't really line up with what they've said, and it almost makes you wonder, is what they've said what they actually believe? I don't know, because if this was about just make the playoffs, then I don't know if you are doing this with a 19-year-old. But we'll see. I mean, this is all still very early.
Yep.
You know, Beckett Seneca is 8 games into his NHL career. It's very possible that, you know, his next 8 games look a lot better, that he starts figuring things out. But this is just what we've seen so far. I also just think, this is my own personal opinion, but I feel like when young players are ready, they look ready right away. Like, you can just tell. I haven't seen too many guys come in over the years watching this team where they started off really rough and ended up being great. I'm not saying it can't happen. But
yeah. Nicholas Rage brings up that the Ducks are kind of rolling 3 lines, so top 6 maybe isn't the measuring 6, top 9. I think we're using top 6, top 9 as like almost being top 9, interchangeable with that.
I mean, I think what we're saying is just being on an offensive line.
Not on the fourth line.
Being on an offensive line is what you want. Yeah. I don't care if he's on a third line. Actually, that might be better for him.
Yeah. And also, Logan brings up, according to the broadcast, Beckett is stronger than Leo was in his rookie season. Well, yeah, Beckett's a year older.
He's not. He's just not.
Well, regardless, Beckett's a year older.
He is older. Is he a year older?
Yes.
Was Leo 18?
Leo came off.
Oh, yeah. Straight out of his draft year.
Straight out of his draft. Beckett's draft +1.
I'm
just gonna +2, sorry.
I'm just gonna say, like, he's bigger. He's had more time to develop. But that guy is just not NHL strong yet. Just like next game, everyone who's listening to this, if you're still listening, next game, watch just on Beckett Seneca's shifts, only watch Seneca and see how many times he gets just shoved off the puck. Like, it happens constantly, and it's not unexpected. He's
19.
He picked up the weight and he got bigger, but I don't think he's actually strong enough yet. And anyway, I feel like a broken record right now.
Yeah,
but
let's move
on.
Let's get to questions. So we're going to go to our Patreon exclusive Discord. Go to patreon.com/CrashPond, where at $2 you get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord and can ask questions in there that we get to first. We may only probably do a couple questions from YouTube and Twitch as a heads up after this, just because we are getting long in the tooth on this one. Charbonneau says, prospect question, had Schaefer been bored slightly later, he'd have been 2026 eligible. With that extra year of development, does he supplant McKenna as this year's number 1?
Whoa. Wait, is this in podcast questions?
Yes.
Jeez. No, I don't think so.
Okay. And then Malarkey said, 2 questions here. Feels like in the Ducks prospect channel, there are a lot of Ducks prospects doing well. I feel at times it's hard to know when to be excited for the potential of that player or not. Can you provide what you look for or focus on so we can have a better sense if that's a potential NHL translatable skill or if that is a player to watch for?
Wow, that is a great question.
I'll leave it to you, prospect guy.
Should I quit the prospect thing? This is a lot of pressure now.
Prospect guy.
I don't want I don't want to be prospect guy.
You don't want the smoke?
I don't want the limelight.
I mean, you threw PK guy on me randomly last year, so
I mean
you're now justified in being called the prospect guy.
I mean, prospect guy is actually quite accurate, whereas PK guy was actually just forced. Hey, I admitted it. Good on me. Okay, so I think it's really hard to say. I don't have a great answer for that because I feel like I don't necessarily watch that many drafted prospects, but I'll take my own experience watching Cutter Gauthier and Tristan Luneau, particularly Tristan Luneau last year, where last year Tristan Luneau in the AHL was putting up a lot of points, and you would watch him throughout the course of a game, and he would score a goal or get an assist, and it would look great. But then you'd watch the rest of the game, and his breakout passes were sloppy. He was making very weird decisions with the puck. Like he was just really kind of rough around the edges. And so for me, what I look for in a drafted prospect, because now like you got to think about the timeline. Before a guy gets drafted, what you're really looking for is the potential. You're looking for the thing that's going to make them an exciting NHL player. So you're looking for the positives. You're looking for, can they score? Do they have a hard shot? Are they playmakers? Are they fast skaters? But once they've been drafted, yes, you want those things to keep expanding. And so you're looking for that. But you're also looking for, okay, now are they more on track to become pros? And so what I would look for if I'm watching a drafted prospect is, one, are they starting to be able to do the things that they were able to do when they were drafted? So is the offense starting to come along? That's really the question. But two, do they look more like pros? Are they, are they being responsible defensively? Are they making smart decisions with the puck? Are they engaging physically? Are they just engaged overall? Like, those are the things you really start to look for once a guy has been drafted. It's becomes less about the flash and more about the less exciting stuff, at least for me. Long-winded, but I think that's an answer.
Yeah. And then his other question was, if you could snap your finger and give one Ducks player, Montreal too if you want, a skill or trait that they lack to make them a complete player, who and what would you give them? Let's just do one each. I got an easy one, though, after our conversation earlier. Cutter Gauthier and playmaking.
Okay, this is perfect.
If you had playmaking ability to his already lethal shot, that's a high end, like top type player.
Well, if I could give Leo Carlsson Connor Bedard's shot, that might be the best player in the NHL.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Free me from Pat Verbeek asks, how much has Kreider being out impacted the power play?
I mean, I think they've still looked good at times, even without Kreider.
But I think you can definitely see the difference between this year and last year with the power play and what Jay Woodcroft is trying to get going with the power play. There's just a lot more movement overall. It doesn't seem like they're looking for one specific shot at all times.
I will say, too, just like having Mikael Granlund helps a lot. Like just having a better player. Like I was actually kind of skeptical of him out there at first, but I see it now. Like he is just such a great passer. Hopefully Kreider's okay, by the way.
Yes.
This like phantom injury situation for a guy who kind of went through what he did last year, you really hope that's not anything related to that.
And for those wondering what Felix is talking about, it's been reported as an illness, but the broadcasts, both radio and TV, I think in Tampa, mentioned that it was an injury.
Yeah. So, also, he's been ill now for almost a week, which is not normal in the NHL. So hoping it's nothing, hoping it's just, he had the sniffles.
Yep. And then Connor asked us, mention the Patrick Derek plagiarism debacle. Just say this on that. It's not that hard to come up with your own work in this. Like we're out here, we
show up every week and just spew nonsense for an hour and a half. It's not hard.
Put out random shit. I put out things about Brian Hayward's looks. Like it's really not that difficult. Don't take someone's work, put it through an AI script to spit it out and make it look like it's yours. Write things in your own verb if you want, and if you have people that you read that you think are very influential on your stuff, cite them. Say that, hey, I really like him. He's where a lot of my stuff has come from. A lot of times on this podcast, I've stated different podcasts that have helped me view the game differently. So if you're out there and you are trying to break in, trying to do this type of stuff that Felix and I do just for shits and giggles, basically, and write the articles, find your own voice, find your own path. Like, figure out what makes your view and what makes kind of your takes unique and have fun with it. Like, don't go out of your way to plagiarize people. Please don't do that. If you are listening to this, go check out Derek's Twitter. I don't want to give the account that he's talking about much more publicity, but they are an account that at this point in time really should not be read.
Yeah, there was a writer from an account. Do I name names?
Leave it be.
I won't name names, but a writer from an account that is purporting to be covering the Ducks is also on Instagram that posts these very elaborate graphics. Actually, same account that remember when they posted that Instagram thing about Beckett Seneca swinging a stick at a coach and made this whole thing about it. Same account has a quote unquote writer who has been tweeting screenshot articles, basically like it's just an image of text on Twitter that is like word for word Patrick's articles from the Hockey News, and conveniently this account that has been putting that out has just fallen off the face of the earth and has been deleted. But yeah, just bullshit. I mean, it's just a bullshit thing to do, to copy other people. And then this apology tweet about, we take this seriously, but it was actually this guy that did it. And here's a screenshot of me telling him not to do it. It's like, no, fuck you. Just take the lump and move on. So,
yep.
Anyway, not a fan of plagiarism.
I'll add this to it. If you see all that, and obviously you're as fired up as me and Felix are about this, go read Patrick's work.
Yeah, support the people doing the work.
Yeah, like the people that are actually putting in the time doing the work that is unfairly being plagiarized. Go support them. That's what's important here.
And the thing too is, like, for me, at the end of the day, how much does this really hurt the writer? Did it hurt the writer in this instance? Like, probably not, right? But it's this principle of don't plagiarize other people, which is which is kind of like the basis of content creation and like journalism and
especially
writing.
In the burgeoning AI stuff that's happening. And so just really making sure, like
anything creative, like this goes back hundreds of years though. Like, don't just copy other people. We have rules about plagiarism. And I think that what makes me really pissed is that it took Derek calling these people out for anything to actually happen, because this writer had been doing this multiple times and nothing had happened. So was this account just going to accept the new followers and the engagement up until somebody said something? Like, again, just terrible. Support the people doing the work and ignore the people that are doing that kind of stuff.
Yep. All right. Do you want to take questions from Twitch and YouTube, or should we just get on out of here? Because we are very late. I know. How about this? Twitch, YouTube, throw questions in. You said you had a take that was non-hockey related. You want to get off your chest. So throw questions in. We'll get to them as they come through. But get that take off your chest.
Okay. Yeah. So if Twitch and YouTube, if you have questions, throw them in. I mean, we're already so late. It doesn't. I'm kind of, gambler's fallacy. But I had a take. This isn't really a take, by the way. This isn't really something I necessarily believe. But it's a question based on other people's, kind of opinions on this.
Okay.
Are we sure Europe is a continent? Is Europe actually a continent?
Are you saying because it's connected to Asia?
Right. Like, what is actually the definition of a continent? And if you look and you go onto Wikipedia, which I know, reliable source, but there are actually multiple definitions of continent. And by some of them, the geological-based definitions, Europe is not a continent. It's actually Eurasia, because it's all just one big plate. Doesn't it actually make more sense to have it that way than to have it be two continents?
Should North and South America be one continent?
But those are actually two different plates. But
they are one landmass connected. They are fully connected.
Yeah, and that is one definition. That is like there's multiple definitions to continent. And so sure, like under different definitions, like you could come up with it. I guess
technically isn't Africa connected to Asia also?
It's its own plate. It's like separate.
Oh, sorry. I'm not thinking about the plate side of it. I'm thinking about just the connection side. Technically, Europe, Africa, Asia are all connected.
Yes, right. I mean, like, yeah, at that point you would just say there's no such thing as continents. Or I guess it would be America and then Afro-Eurasia.
Yeah.
And then Australia. Yeah. But not quite how that works. Here is my hot take. This is where it gets spicy.
Okay.
This is where it actually gets spicy. It's been hot, now it starts to simmer. I think that Europe is more of a social construct than it is a geographic construct, where the Europeans and the way that these lines have been drawn throughout the course of history is more like, oh, well, we're different. We're Europe. We can't possibly be part of Asia, so therefore we need our own continent. Because if you look at the map, like what is actually separating these two? Whereas to me, if you look at North and South America, they're far less connected. It's like a little tiny strip of land that connects those two.
I would disagree, because I think if you were talking about a social construct, the social construct would have the line be much different, because Eastern Europe is very different than Western Europe.
But that's my point, though. I guess that's my point, is that continents, as we have defined them in some ways, in some ways, and it's mostly applicable to Europe and Asia, is more about social constructs than it is geography.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think the social construct, the line would be different. Is my point.
But it's still at root a social construct, is what I'm saying. Like, regardless of where that line ends up.
I mean, sure. I mean, all states are countries are social constructs.
But that's different. But continent is supposed to have like a geographical, scientific element to it. I agree with you. Countries are social constructs, but countries have their geographic elements, but we won't get into that. But for continents, it's a little more scientific, or at least it's supposed to be.
I think you have an argument.
I mean, look, it's just a thought.
I would need to think on it.
It's just a thought. Like, this isn't actually something that I'm like diehard believing in, but I read on it last night and I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. Never thought about that. There you go.
All right. We got a few questions that popped in. Michael B said, question, how good has Leo been so far?
He's been good. He's been pretty good. Why don't you answer that question? You answer that question.
I think he's been really good. Let me rephrase that. I think he's had games where he's looked dominant and games where he's kind of been dormant. But I think when he's looked dominant, he has looked like a second overall pick and Evgeny Malkin light.
Yes.
But there are also games where he kind of just is there. So you take the good with the bad. Sean Fight said, 2 questions. Who in San Diego is Seneca keeping off the roster or keeping off the Ducks, or is he better than that player? Also, who on the current Ducks roster played on the Ducks with Ryan Getzlaf?
Oh, that's kind of fun.
For the first question,
I don't think anyone.
I don't think anyone. I think it's more so like Colangelo or Nestorenko if he's in a fourth-line role.
I guess if the Ducks were fully healthy, one of Colangelo or Nestorenko would be in the AHL.
And I think Colangelo or Nestorenko, specifically in a fourth-line role, is more suited for that role.
I think Colangelo's starting to look a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. Now the other question: who on the current
Troy Terry is the easy one.
Oh yeah.
Troy Terry.
Troy Terry.
I don't think Vetrano ever did.
No, Vetrano never did.
Don't think McTavish did. Did Lacombe?
Did McTavish?
No, because McTavish came in 22-23, didn't he?
But didn't he play some games
in 21-22?
Didn't he play like a few games in 21-22? Didn't he get like a small look and then was sent back?
And he looked good in that stint, by the way.
Am I misremembering? Was Getzlaf in that on that year?
I'm trying to find just pictures of the two of them in the same picture, but it's not.
Mason McTavish, hockey reference. Let's see. Michael B saying yes, he did. So McTavish, I think, did also.
Okay, but and like barely, technically, almost at that point.
Let's see. Yeah, because it would have been his first year was 21-22.
Oh, I just saw a picture with Getzlaf and McTavish in it. So there you go.
There it is.
This picture is actually Terry, McTavish, Drysdale, and Getzlaf.
So what is it? Just Terry and Getzlaf? Or sorry, Terry and McTavish?
When did Lacombe come in? That's the only one.
Lacombe was no. 100% no. Lacombe was only Lacombe was
he played at the
recent.
end of the year. Oh, he came in end of 22-23.
Yeah. Did Dostal ever get a call up during that time, or was he over in Europe during then?
Oh God.
He may have been over in Europe.
Let's see. 21-22 is our line. Let's see.
He did play 4 games in 21-22.
Oh crap. Okay, let's see. Lucas Dostal, Ryan Getz. How many games did Getzlaf play in 21-22? If he played 82, then we can just say yes.
No, he didn't play 82 because remember he didn't go on the final road trip.
Right.
But he played a lot. I don't think he was hurt.
He must have. He must have played a game with Dostal. I'm just going to say he must have, but
right?
I don't know for sure.
Oh, no. Getzlaf played only 56 games. It's now seeming possible that...
Well, let me ask you this. Could Getzlaf have played another 2-3 years if he wanted to?
Maybe.
I think he could have. He was still good his last season.
Now I'm just looking at the game logs here. Let's see. He played... Let's see. He played against Detroit. Let's see. Was Getzlaf in this game? Ryan Getzlaf was in this game against Detroit.
Wow. There you go.
So, yes.
So three current Ducks played with Ryan Getzlaf. Did any current Ducks play with Corey Perry? I guess Terry?
Yeah, Terry would have. Because don't you remember the story of Terry breaking his leg and Corey Perry like carrying him up
I don't remember that.
The airplane? Yeah. Like Troy Terry like loves Corey Perry because of that.
Did Troy Terry ever play with Ryan Kessler?
Well, you have to remember, Troy Terry came...
Should I not bring that up?
No, he 100% did.
Should I not bring him up?
Probably not. But remember, Terry came in at the end of 17-18.
Yeah, I remember his first training camp.
Terry's been with the Ducks as long as we've done this podcast.
Is it kind of weird that like that whole era has now been basically erased from the team? Like almost two eras now. The Getzlaf era and the kind of end of Murray era, because Zegras gone, Drysdale gone, Silverberg gone,
Raquel gone,
yeah,
Henrique gone.
But yeah,
I mean that's the nature of being a rebuilding team. I think the weird thing is the young guys from that era being gone.
Yeah, I think that's the weird part, is that those guys also left. Sam Steele,
like
Mahura.
That's the odd part is no Zegras, no Drysdale. That's the weird part looking back.
Should Fowler still be on the team?
I think Fowler would make more sense than some other people playing on his offside.
Smart.
Yep.
By the way, Kyle Verbeek let everyone know that the Trouba haters were wrong. I don't know if you saw that.
The funny thing is that when the Ducks acquired him, we said that he's better offensively than people think and worse defensively than people think. Like, who he is right now is who we said he was. This is no different.
Are you watching the World Series?
I have it on my phone right now.
Oh, that explains why you're trying to get out of here.
It's in extra innings. Did you not know that?
I just looked at Twitter, so someone put in the chat, legend Andre Kasha. I'm happy to report he is still playing.
Good for him.
Over in the Czech League.
Connor said more for Jake, but have you been following Sam Blum's writing about the Skag Show? Yep. Artie sucks. Sell the team.
Agreed. No, nothing, but agreed. No, some, actually. No, some. Andre Kasha is 6 points in 7 games this year for Litvinov. Also, did you hear how... Oh, God, who was it? Speaking of guys who played with who, Jaromir Jagr, I think played... Yeah, so Jaromir Jagr, who this season has played 3 games at age 53, also played against Guy Lafleur when he entered the NHL.
That's wild.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
He has played against legends from the 70s and is still playing. Like, it's weird how time flies with hockey. Like, it's really not a long span of time, and yet so much can change in the league.
Yep.
There's your sentimental take to end what has been a fun show. To end what has been a return to form, a return to scorched earth, and
we're somehow going to have people pissed off at us, and we'll have fun with it.
Someone said holy. Did something happen?
I think it was your Jagr with Guy Lafleur.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's just insane to me. Anyway, but if you enjoyed this podcast, and we hope you did, we'd love to have you around. The easiest way to support us is to go check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/crashthepond. For $2 a month, you get access to our patrons-only exclusive Discord server. It's basically a big group chat where you get to connect with us. You get to connect with other diehard Ducks fans, but there's many channels in there, so you can talk about football, you can talk about basketball, prospects, fantasy hockey. Like, there's just everything in there. It's a blast, and it's really just a great way to support us and also get to know us better. You can up that pledge to $7.50 a month. So there you get access to 2 bonus podcasts a month. You also get access to exclusive player breakdown videos. I've been focusing on prospects. I have one up right now that was a Roger McQueen shift-by-shift video from one of his college games, but I think I'm going to start doing some NHL videos too, because I kind of, that's how I got started in all of this, and I want to go back to that a little bit, just kind of watch the players a little more closely. That's at patreon.com/crashthepond. Leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Those do go a very long way, and they're completely free. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Leave us feedback there. Leave us a comment. Say hi in the comment section. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And yes, YouTube, the YouTube comments. We know how you feel about us, but we still love you. Tell us how you feel. Spill it all out. We'll reply. We'll engage. Do all of that. But subscribe to us. Hit the notification bell. YouTube.com/crashthepond. And check out crashthepond.com. So if you're not on any social media, which you can follow it there, but if you're not, just go to crashthepond.com. And after, I would say, 80 to 90% of games, we've got articles up about the game. So if you didn't catch the game or you miss the post-game podcast, which we used to do, this is kind of a version of that, where Jake and I have each our own spin on the game. Jake does his analytics breakdown, which is great to read. It's got the Brian Hayward fit check.
Yeah.
Fit check, where Jake gives a rating 1 through 10 of Brian Hayward's outfit from the broadcast. Not a great score the last game, actually, 6.2.
No, not great.
That looks like something I would just wear to to work or something.
Yeah, that's why.
It's a solid look.
It's solid. I expect better. Is that harsh?
Well, because, the turtlenecks and the... Oh, my God. So I just saw Aller's outfit from the Boston game.
Oh, yeah. The when they did triple turtleneck.
The
Ducks jacket.
The Ducks, puffer jacket with the polo and the turtleneck.
That it brought the score down. It brought the score down. I mean, it was still in the 9s because I have to respect the triple turtleneck, but Brian Hayward was just perfect in that game with a 9-9.
He looks like a James Bond character or something.
It's great. It's so good. It's so good. I don't know if I would rock it if I could pull it off, but I give Brian Hayward all the credit in the world because it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great look. So if honestly, just read the articles for that because it's very entertaining, but there's also a lot of information.
Yeah.
I also have my game notes, which are just kind of like my notes on what I saw. So if you care about that, go check it out. It does help support us, and it gets you free content. There are no strings attached to that one. So with all that being said, thanks for listening, everyone. Welcome back to Jake, and talk to you next one.
Bye.